Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to the closing session of Unscripted. Thank you for joining us today. I'm very excited about this last session today. I have with me Gabe from Google and Sanjeev from Sensormatic, one of the customers of both of the companies. But let's start with introductions, Gabe.
Sure. My name is Gabe Monroy. I'm the Vice President of Developer Experience at Google Cloud. You can think of me as looking after developer things and also looking after Kubernetes and cloud native things inside of Google.
I am Sanjeev Hasiza. I'm head of software development and director enterprise architecture for Sensormatic. Sensormatic is a part of Johnson Controls.
Great to have you both here today. Excited to have this conversation. Let's talk about AI. That's the theme today. In the world of software engineering, that's the number one topic across the industry. How do you bring AI for productivity? How do you bring AI for improving developer experience? But it's not clear what's real, what's not. Like there's a lot of talk. So maybe start with what are you seeing on the ground about AI, the adoption of AI? So maybe let's start with you, Gabe.
Sure, and it's a great question. I've been traveling the world recently. I just got back from a trip in India, and I was at an event where a startup in Bangalore is doing some really interesting things with Gemini and Gemini's code assistant products, and they're claiming 30 to 50% productivity gains, and they really quantified exactly where they're seeing those gains across the entire SDLC, not just coding, but really beyond coding. And I feel like that's a great example case of what the early adopters are being able to achieve with this technology. On the other hand, though, I was meeting with customers and some partners, and they are seeing some gains with the pilots that they're running in their organizations, but they're not seeing scaled gains just yet. They're not seeing the business impact that they were hoping for from those gains. It's not that they don't believe they can come, it's just a little early, right? So on the one hand, a lot of really positive productivity gains, and on the other hand, still a little early in terms of end-to-end scale and business value.
Yeah. So a lot of experimentation happening in a lot of places. People trying out in different teams and seeing what happens.
Exactly.
What are you seeing as someone leading an engineering team inside a large organization?
Yeah, so this year, one of the goals we have set for the organization is to remove the trial we have and increase developer productivity by 30%. And how we're going to achieve that? We decided to go ahead and pick handful set of to AI tools, and we didn't want to limit it to just developers. We thought we were going to take this opportunity and work with the entire organization, different parts of the organization. So we picked the champions from each team, and product had nominated their champion who is going to help us with these use cases, and starting with the product to SMEs to developers, then testing teams and DevOps and SRE. So every team came up with some set of use cases, and we ran those use cases with each AI tool. And we are seeing a lot of good productivity improvements. And now we ran into the next challenge, how we going to measure how it's helping us to move the needle. And so that's where we took help from Harness AIPI that's helping us to get those insights out and showing us how.
Yeah. It's glad you mentioned that, Sanjeev. That's the one thing that we're hearing a lot. How do you measure the impact of AI to the developers? That's you see everywhere from it could be 30 to 40% gain to some people claiming there's no gain. And I see inside Harness itself, our engineering teams, when I ask them, are you using AI coding assistant? And someone will say, oh, it's amazing, it's great, we're seeing gains. Some engineers I talk to, and they say, I'm not getting any gain. I tried it, but I stopped using it. It doesn't really make much difference, or it doesn't make me much more productive. And a lot of it's how do you measure the gain? We announced it today in the event, the Harness AIPI or AI Productivity Insights, which is in partnership with Google, the Gemini team there. A big part of the way we have looked at it is it's very similar to running a drug experiment, right? Where you have your control group cohort and you have a new cohort that's trying the new drug. So in this case, your control group that's not using AI, and the new group that is using AI coding, and then you measure what's the impact on velocity, what's the impact on quality, what's the impact on the developer experience, the developer sentiment, and see what is the true productivity gain that can come out of it. So hopefully we'll be able to help you solve the measurement problem here.
Yeah, and I'm really excited about the AI Productivity Insights product. One of the experiments I'm hoping to see soon is even within the cohorts of folks who are using AI productivity assistants, taking a measurement based on the seniority of the developers. Because one of the things we're also seeing is some of the more senior developers are not used to using AI coding assistants in their daily workflow. You can think they went to school, they're trained classically in computer science, and this was never a thing that they used as part of their process of writing code, right? Prompting an LLM, that kind of thing. We're also seeing junior developers are seemingly taking up some of this very quickly, right? They're very quick to lean on some of these new tools and technologies to accelerate their coding workflow. And so you're measuring some of that, which the AI Productivity Insights tool can offer, is going to provide us a whole host of different ways to think about productivity gains with AI.
Yeah, definitely. It will be a very interesting experiment. I'm very curious about it as well. I hear the other side of it. Sometimes I hear that the very senior developers are getting the most value because they know what to do with the suggestions. Yes. The junior developers don't know what to do with the suggestions, and they don't get enough value out of it, or they accept code that's not the right code, or it has it doesn't really do the problem to solve the problem well. So you need some expertise. So these experiments will tell us like what is real, exactly. What is not, right? Yes. What will work.
Yeah. To add to that, I feel these tools were the missing pieces in the whole AI innovation we have been trying to achieve. So not only when we started this AI initiative, a lot of team developers came and they said, is it going to take away my job? So I said, no, it's not going to take away your job. This is going to help you to remove the boring work you do and any redundant work we do. So how do you show them this is the boring work, or this is the trial we have? I think this tool is going to help us to, okay, this is what we had before, and this is where we are saving time. And not only convincing the developer, it helps management to get sign off from the leadership as well to show the return on value.
Yeah, definitely. You talked about toil, which is an important part of it. And at Harness, we look at toil in like two buckets. You have the coding part of what a developer's job is, which is the more creative part of problem solving part of a developer's job. And then you have all the stuff that happens after you write code, which is the testing, deployment, governance, security, operational management, troubleshooting, debugging, all the things that happen, which people really complain the most about, like, too much burden. No one really wants to do it. Like, it's like sometimes I use the analogy of if you're going to bring AI to a restaurant, like say a restaurant kitchen, the part that the chef wants to do is actually the cooking. Yes, we can bring AI to be better in cooking, but no chef wants to do the dishes and the chopping the vegetables and all that stuff. So if you bring AI to that, that's even better. All right. So what are you guys seeing? Like, the use of AI in coding is the first, I would say the first frontier. What are you seeing beyond coding? Like, where can AI help, and what's your take?
The customers I talk to are unanimous in their desire for AI assistance to expand across the entirety of the SDLC, and even frankly beyond the SDLC into some of the more information worker parts of the job, corresponding with your colleagues over chat systems, emails, that sort of thing. So we do see demand for that clearly. In terms of where we're noticing gains right now specifically, I will say that there's a lot of assistance we've been able to deliver through products like Gemini and Firebase, where we're able to detect runtime level errors, both in terms of applications that are running inside of, in this case, Firebase, but also crashes that are happening on a mobile phone, let's say an Android device. We're able to analyze those crashes and understand exactly what is going on there, thanks to the use of AI and large language models, and help make the process of turning that into a bug fix a lot faster for folks. So we're seeing gains there, but I would say it's still pretty early. One of the things I'm still looking for in this space is the ability to really automate end-to-end application testing and validation. Because today, if you're able to, you're not really able to unlock that, broadly speaking. Most customers don't have great end-to-end testing. They're fortunate if they have any unit testing at all in many cases, right? But imagine a world where you do have great end-to-end testing. Think of it as UI or functional testing. What that allows you to do is really complete the loop between a fix or sorry, a bug that you're detecting in, let's say, a production environment, having an AI agent like produce a fix for that issue and actually commit that fix, do a stage rollout of that, and then validate whether that's working thanks to an acceptance test, right? That's kind of the linchpin for me, and it's something that we're still working on, but seeing a lot of demand for.
You'll be very happy to hear that we announced a product today called AI QA Assistant in our keynote this earlier, which does exactly this to help you with end-to-end testing. And I promise you, this was not not a setup here. It's because this is one of the big problems we hear. Like, as a provider of CI/CD, a lot of times our customers will say, "You've automated our pipelines. I can deploy code in fully automated way with all security, governance, compliance, everything in the pipeline. But I still can't ship every day because I don't have enough testing." And so can you help with the testing? Because unless I have testing, there's no confidence in the code that's being even if everything is automated on the delivery side of things. So we announced our AI QA assistant that takes the how do you get end-to-end UI experience, like how an end user will use it, and use you with the help of AI. And by the way, your AI is built on top of the of Gemini. So but you have to combine it with the what's happening on the browser and the DOM model in the browsers, and understanding the applications with generative AI to generate the test. And we're very excited to what we're seeing there. So hopefully we can solve this problem together.
And work together on that as well. Yes,
yes, definitely. What are you seeing beyond coding in terms of adoption of AI?
So adoption of AI in the market, if you see a lot of companies, the trend is to use Gen AI, and the Chat GPT is one of the example. And beyond that, companies are struggling to find the use cases where AI can help them. And to be honest, we also took some time to realize where we can use AI. And the few real good use cases we came up with, beyond just developers, beyond just coding, is like there's a lot of data we have on deployments. Over the time, different systems capture a lot of data, how each release went, and what kind of issues we received after the release. So we are using that data to build the large learning model, and which is going to tell us to predict the release. It's going to help us with the risk management. How is this release going to be? Is it going to be high risk release or low risk release? And based on that, we can plan out how much testing effort we want to put in. Do you want to do the entire regression, or do you want to do the entire load test, or just small piece of it? So I think there are a lot of use cases.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of the operational use cases as well after that, like the troubleshooting problems and etc. that we are starting to hear. So one of the things that I hear from our customers, when some of the AI capabilities, sometimes many customers are open to it, but some customers are still skeptical about it on security, governance, data privacy, even ethical concerns in some industries. What are you guys seeing about that? Like, are you hearing from that from the market, and how do you overcome those?
We definitely are hearing concerns around adoption of AI technology. I would say things like copyright and licensing indemnification are one of the top issues. Privacy and ensuring that prompts and data stored inside of prompts is not going to be made part of training data. This is still a big issue, despite the fact that Google has gone above and beyond in making sure that those customer concerns are through indemnification, through guarantees around not using customer data that's produced inside of prompts as part of any of our training. So what we call our responsible AI principles. Still, despite that, I think there's reluctance, and that's natural. I mean, a lot of new technology trends will exhibit the same sort of reluctance from folks. What I will tell you also is we are seeing an interesting phenomenon where some of the customers who might be the slowest to adopt this technology, you'd think customers like financial services, let's say, who are traditionally laggards, right? They're a bit more conservative. Their view is a little different. It's one of, we have so much to lose if we don't jump on board with this soon. So, at this moment right now, I'm working with customers in banking, indexing their private code and you're making sure that that private code is part of the AI suggestion so that those suggestions are maximally relevant to customers who are working inside of that bank. That's not something you would normally get a bank to do in any other environment. And so I do think that's also indicative of the forward lean we're seeing from at least some of these customers.
But their belief in that the productivity gains are so real, then they will be left behind if they don't.
Correct.
They don't
And
follow.
also that, in a competitive market, if they're not out there pushing the boundaries of what's possible, despite potentially some discomfort, they could get left behind.
So did you guys have these conversations internally about any concerns and discomfort around data privacy or security concerns around use of AI?
Yeah, so we also experienced same challenges. There's a lot of concern from customers as well as internal teams as well about the vulnerabilities. So we are SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance for our products. So when it comes to the compliance part, when we say we are using this AI-based tool, they ask for the vulnerability, the SOC compliance report for the tools as well. And there's a lot of concern that we have control on our own code base. What if there's a vulnerability on the other end? And I think that's where we're seeing the industry challenge. And the other lot of concern I see is AI ethics. And I think AI ethics should be one of the course in the college going forward, because that's becoming a very big thing moving forward. And that knowledge is very compulsory, how we implement in the organization and how we develop our softwares.
It's funny that you mentioned about like teaching this in the college. I feel like the world of AI is moving so fast that teaching in college is not going to be enough for any skill set for anyone on this. What do you guys think of, like, how should people get ready as developers and engineers to skill or reskill themselves on anything AI?
It's a fantastic question, and as a father of two young boys, 8 and 10 years old, I'm wrestling with this myself right now. And what I can say is, I don't have faith that the curriculums are going to be able to keep up with this, both today as well as in the future, when this technology pace of advancement is going to be even more, evident. So I think my philosophy is to really focus on continuous learning and continuous improvement, rather than falling back on well-established curriculum, just because it's so difficult for that curriculum to keep pace, right? And so you're making sure that you're looking at the latest technology trends, following hacker news, following what's happening on Reddit and other social media, reading academic research papers and seeing how much of that you can apply to your work. Maybe you don't understand everything, and that's okay, but at least being aware of and exposed to the latest in research can be, I think, really helpful, and is maybe becoming a must-have in this industry.
By the way, AI does a good job in summarizing those research papers. I use the cheat code sometimes to summarize the research papers. But you're right, like it's just impossible to keep up. Like what's happening even just a year ago and what happens today in AI is just things are changing. Like and as developers, it's hard to keep up on the skill set, right?
No, I agree, and I think it's going to be a little difficult for the education industry to stay on top of it. I think it's more of a job for big players, like what Harness was showing earlier. The innovation. I think innovation is going to play a big role in this area, and AI is progressing very fast. You need to keep up with AI, and the lot of investment will be needed from big players, and that's going to help.
Yeah. So going back to your earlier comment around would AI for coding, AI for developers will take away developers' jobs, and you see like sometimes the headlines and very sensationalized headlines on developer jobs will go away in 10 years or 5 years. What do you guys think? Like, would there be job for developers or with AI, or what's going to happen? What's your take?
First of all, I'll say that I do understand the concerns, right? I think they're very valid concerns. When you think about the productivity gains we're already seeing, I'm seeing 30, 50% in some cases, and we're still in the early days of this. It's possible to foresee, much greater gains, right? And so the question becomes, well, what happens with those gains when those gains are finally realized, right? Broadly speaking, two things could happen. One could be, hey, there's no more software to be written, less work for folks, right? I actually don't subscribe to that, right? I actually think there's a lot more software that needs to be built in the world than there are developers to build it. I also think that there's a lot more ideas around software that could be created that is yet to be unlocked because people are, feel like they're constrained in terms of the amount of horsepower. I mean, how many teams have I spoken with who said, "Oh gosh, if we only had 10 more engineers on this team, we would just be crushing it." Well, maybe AI becomes your 10 more engineers, right? And all those ideas you had in your backlog are things that you can start to push forward. So my belief is that we're going to start to see acceleration in the amount of ideas that go through the software engineering pipeline as a result of AI, but we won't see a decrease in the number of jobs in the space.
Yeah, I have a very similar belief. I do think that I might be dating myself here, but I started as a C++ programmer. And when we started to program in Java, a lot of times people will say, okay, Java does so much of the stuff here that a programmer has to do in C++, themselves. So now we don't need as many programmers. And now we look look back, it's like we have 10x more programmers than we used to have, maybe even much more, because there's just more problems to solve. And it's not like the jobs went away, the jobs increased because just more software, more that could be created. But what are your thoughts on this?
I agree with Gabe and you, and completely agree. There is a lot of concern we can see, but at the same time, I think people have started realizing it's not going to take away the job. It's going to help us to reduce the work we do, to do redundant work. And for example, like recently we had a project in our organization to upgrade one of the application to latest Angular JS. One of the developer, she came to me, she said, "Do we have a license for Google Gemini? That's what we use for. Do we have a license for that?" I said, "What do we need it for?" "Well, I want to upgrade the entire project to latest code base." So people have started realizing that, hey, I don't want to spend time on doing this repetitive thing. Let's use the tool and let's do that. And another area where I see is sometime when you're starting new projects, you define, okay, this is the template. We're going to build classes based on this. That kind of repetitive work, I think AI is going to help us a lot. And to your point, yeah, if I wish I had 5 more engineers. That's going to be my 5 more engineers.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? And I do want to create space for the fact that there may be some companies who want to take the productivity gains that they're seeing and have those fall to the bottom line in terms of cost savings. That is a model that companies could choose to do, right? And so far be it for me to dictate what a company wants to do with profitability gains. But my belief is, customers are going to benefit from more innovation, not sort of squeezing costs out of the system. So while that is a possibility for folks to do, given the demand for software being so large and so much software needing to be created, on the whole, I think the industry is going to experience a boom in the amount of software that's created as a result of AI.
I agree. And I think the consumer expectations on the innovation in software will increase on the velocity. Let's say if you expect like a new upgrade comes out every 6 months from some software, consumers will start to expect it comes out every month, because now every other competitor is from that vendor is doing the same thing. So it's like, all the productivity gain, if you are pushing all of that to the bottom line and not innovating faster than you used to, other people will innovate faster using AI now.
I'll give you another good example of this. We're starting to see trends around personalized user interfaces. Today, if you go to a website or to a mobile application, there's one user interface that every user gets. Maybe you'll canary test changing this button or changing that button. Well, in the future, where we have systems that can really understand what the user interface is, why would that UI be static? Why couldn't it be dynamic for every single individual? So that's a great example of AI could be used to accelerate the ability to deliver highly specialized, highly personalized user interfaces. That kind of thing might become the norm, which is another great example of new software demand being created that AI can help address.
It reminds me of the Minority Report movie, if you remember,
Yes.
where they have these personalized billboards. Like you walk there and they're based on the user, everyone has their own billboard.
Exactly.
So it could be that could be done for the software interface as well, right?
B2B SaaS, Minority Report edition. Yes.
Yes. It's amazing, like how some of the AI is becoming real and becoming all those vision and sci-fi is out there right now. So if you have to predict future and say like you have to predict the next 2-3 years on what's going to happen with AI, what would be your few predictions in AI for especially when it comes to software engineering?
If you just talk about software engineering, I think AI is going to help us to do a lot of innovation in developer experience area. It's going to enhance how developers operate today, how they can work more efficiently, and also how can we release the software to the market, to the customers faster. Yeah, that's what I see.
Yeah. How about beyond software engineering? What do you think?
Beyond software engineering, there's the
No one-
sky is
no one
the
knows.
limit, and there are a lot of areas, as I mentioned. We are still discovering where AI can help, and as Gabe mentioned, we'll see a lot of fast development in this area in every field, starting from the software industry to the medical industry, even financial sector. There are a lot of different.
So, Gabe, at Google, you guys are driving you are at the forefront of like real AI innovations for a long time. You think we expect LLMs to be the core of AI innovation, or we go beyond LLMs, or what do you think where we are going?
It's a great question, and y'all just say LLM, large language model. We're already seeing with Gemini the addition of multimodality, right? The ability to handle different kinds of media, video, images, audio, as being a key part of what we think the future of models. So we're already pushing past the language part and the text part into broader applications. I've seen some really cool demos of stuff. For example, the ability for a product team to have a chat on Google Meet and describe a feature that they want to implement into a piece of software. And thanks to Gemini's large context window, get the ability to turn that into a fully written pull request with tests and the rest of it, right? Just from the meeting that everyone would have normally to discuss a feature, and that is implemented basically instantaneously. Those kind of capabilities, right? That's just a taste, right? But those kind of capabilities are, I think, what we're going to see. So I'm expecting a wholesale reinvention of what it looks like to run software development at scale, right? Who are the personas involved? What kind of skill sets do they need? How do people work together in a new team structure? I think all of these things. How do we do testing at scale, right? How do we do production rollouts at scale? I think AI is going to impact all of these things, and some of the model capabilities I think are going to drive what the shape of those new teams looks like.
It's exciting. The future is definitely exciting here.
To add to that, what Gabe mentioned, there's one area is using AI, a lot of development happening. The other area is, as a customer, I can tell you, I want to monitor how it is helping me to move the needle. And I think
productivity insights.
that's where AI productivity insight actually helped us to get that data out from different systems we have on the back end. We have data in Jira, data sitting in databases, data sitting in SEI tool. So I think to get all the data out and see how it is helping us to move the needle, that's where I think you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I do think having grounding in the capabilities of a product like AI, productivity insights, is going to be really important to make sure that whatever we build in the future is actually going to be providing value as measured by companies like yours, who are really trying to make sure how you understand how to communicate that value to your stakeholders.
Because the costs are real. Like you have to invest in using AI, and if the gains are not coming out, at some point someone in the business will argue like, why are we spending all this money on AI? Is the gain real or not, right? So you need to measure it out.
Yeah, trust me, when I heard this collaboration, I was like, bingo. This is what I've been waiting for.
No, we are excited to hear that. Yes. So thank you both for joining us today here. We're very, very excited for all the things that we launched today. A lot of great announcements from Harness. So if you're in the audience and you are interested in learning about any of our new capabilities and new modules, please check out on our website and sign up to be an early adopter. Thank you both for joining us today, and thank you everyone for joining us for Unscripted.